Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Please hit that subscribe button. And if you like the way that any of the topics are being broken down or discussed here on the channel, please do me a favor and always hit that like button before getting out of here. Or perhaps leave a comment. A share of the video would definitely be immensely appreciated. So, with sports still on hold and I'm having the opportunity to dig into a lot more entertainment. It gives me the some an opportunity or an opening to discuss a lot more entertainment than just sports and specifically boxing. And this is a show that I've been tracking, keeping track of the last 3 years. I believe we're in season 4. And I watched this one a little bit differently because of the subject matter. And it's just kind of a show that I more or less enjoy with my wife. I mean, it's a comedy. It's not like Homeland was just wrapped up or Billions which just had like its season 4 premiere. I think was this past Sunday night. But anyway, the show is well, I just hit a blank. The show is HBO's Insecure, starring creator Issa Rae. And this week's episode, this is episode 4 in the 4th season. It's called Low Key Losing It. Right out the gate, something that was very interesting to me is that the show is on Rotten Tomatoes. The user score for Insecure right now is at 78%. I don't know what to make of that. I don't know what the makeup is of the people that are leaving these scores or leaving reviews. Who knows? But 78 just seems that's an eye opener, especially when you contrast that with the fact that the show is trending around and it's come down each season. But I think right now it's at like 94% on the critic score or those critics that review and have scored the show. So I just thought that was interesting. But anyway, getting into episode 4, Low Key Losing It, just a couple of the highlights. The major overarching situation here is that, a major rift continues to grow between Issa and Molly. And you saw this, one of the specifics or specific examples of this rift is when I believe Issa says something about red table talk from you look at Molly being Jada Pinkett Smith, with the red table talk. She was saying something about her relationship with Andrew, I believe, at the girls gathering, and but in general, Molly just seems to be short and disinterested with a lot of what's going on with Issa. I'll come back to that in a second. Another thing that we see, another major point of this or highlight of this show is, last week in episode 3 where Lawrence and Condola left off. It seems to be more long term or permanent. We don't see Condola appear on this episode, I don't believe. And Lawrence is out kind of wandering by himself now, kind of going back to the group, the main group who we've known and been growing with the last couple of seasons. And Condola wasn't easily, readily available when Issa was looking for feedback on this flyer for her block party. The next one that I noticed was just the gathering at Derek and Tiffany's results in more FaceTime with Issa and Lawrence. And then there's kind of a renewed sense of interest in the conversation and the views of the current versions of each person. Issa made the comment to her brother, I believe in the Thanksgiving episode, that Condola is getting the seasoned version or the matured version of Lawrence, while she was there for the dude who never had his stuff together, which is ironic because she kind of still doesn't have her stuff together with some of her tenants. She didn't pay the water bill or something at the beginning of this episode. But there's a different kind of conversation between them two now, and I didn't know earlier if that was because Issa was trying to say all of the right things to maintain the relationship with Condola, who's, that's an important business relationship for her. The next thing is Schoolboy Q backs out of the block party or headlining the block party, which is like 4 weeks out now. And this is after Issa gets feedback from Condola on the flyers and, moves forward with the printer, finalizing that and starting to run copy so that she can disseminate or, eventually. We also, Nathan leaves a voicemail, last year's love interest for Issa. He leaves a voicemail. He does say at the end of it, you don't have to call me back, but he's just kind of showing some interest in that he's abreast of what's developing with the block party. But we still don't see him, on screen or anything. And she doesn't call him back at that particular moment. But we didn't know how or whether Nathan was going to appear this year, and he checks in with the series. Also, Molly and Andrew communicate enough to extend their relationship at least for another episode or two. Molly is just being Molly. I mean, she's an interesting character in my opinion, and maybe I'll tap into some of that here with one of these next points, but they've kind of been stepping on each other's feet a little bit and not being on the same page as they've tried to link up and spend time with one another. Molly was frustrated with Andrew's inability or lack of willingness to share anything, personal about him. And they talked through that, and now here they are talking through the fact that Molly is really working a lot of hours at the moment, and Andrew he's a laid back dude. And he just says, before we go too far, if our schedules really don't line up, we don't really fit in with each other's lives, we can just, we can easily just move on, just and be mature about this. But they talk, and get on the same page at least for another episode or two. Next point, Molly tells Issa she wants to leave well, this is my interpretation of it, but she wants to leave well enough alone regarding her relationship, the status of her relationship with Andrew and where they are at this moment. But she calls her on the phone. She calls Issa and says that she has no intention of asking Andrew for help with the Live Nation artists that Issa wants to get to headline or replace Schoolboy Q to headline her block party thing. And, this is a pivotal moment because Issa has relied on Molly for quite a bit through the first 3 seasons. And based on what Molly's occupation is, her financial situation, this isn't exactly a 50-50 relationship. Although Issa just isn't out here with her hand out all of the time. But for the bigger things, she does kind of turn to Molly, to help fix or, move things along. The next point is, so that's an interesting topic right there, what happens next with that. And especially because the next episode is called Low Key Moving On. So who will be moving on from what? My last point was, is this just the end of, regarding that relationship, Molly and Issa, or Issa and Molly, being the main 2 characters of the show, is this kind of, are they setting the stage for this to just be the end of their season as main girlfriends or besties? And I'm asking this, keep it, or, with firmly believing that at the end of this, they're going to work this out at the end of this season. Now, towards the end of the show, I don't know if they have another season or 2 left. I don't know how, I haven't really looked into, I'm assuming there's a 5th season, but, long-term thinking, how many seasons are they going to try to get out of this thing? And maybe once we get to that point where they know, it's a definite, number of shows left, is that an arc that they work towards, is where their relationship goes or how it ends at the end of this thing. But a couple of things that I'm noticing in this question that I was thinking through is, Molly is pouring herself more into her job. She has way more responsibility and more duties and whatnot on her plate than what Issa has going on. We also see in this episode where where Molly's relationship, she's interacting with her girlfriends at work who have similar situations, in their personal lives. Maybe these are things that Molly connects with more, and maybe she starts looking at, friends at work, her coworkers as more relationships, or as better relationships, better time spent versus dealing with all of the uncertainty, going that revolves around Issa. We also see her apartment, her car, she's just way farther down the road in life, in adulthood than Issa. And maybe, just in a real subtle way, like I said, maybe they're just growing apart. Maybe she's just tired of the same old stories with Issa. And then with her trying to make the most of this moment in this relationship with Andrew, maybe she's thinking of just, focusing on career, and then, taking a relationship with, with the man in another direction, a step above what it's just been. And maybe these things in her personal life are just more enjoyable or just better than being, than the girlfriend experience and spending time and hanging out with Issa. And I just think that's natural. One of the underlying things here, kind of in looking at Molly, kind of conversation to myself is like, what statement is being made with the relationship with Andrew? And right now, I don't really want to focus on the fact, that he's an Asian guy and what community he comes from. But I'm just kind of struggling with, here's Molly, has all this stuff going on. She's a black woman in LA. Everything that's going on in LA, the money, the different walks of life that are out there, the different potential partners that she could have. And I know Andrew works for Live Nation and is into music and does a lot of the things that she likes to do, but it's just kind of, it makes me wonder why here's Molly, and we've seen who her relationships have been with, and we've seen how her personality has kind of caused some of those relationships to, obviously that's a part of what the show is about, is her and Issa not being able to, maintain these healthy relationships with the love interests of their life and whatnot. But like I said, with her being in all that's to offer in LA, all the brothers out there, with different income, economic situations and backgrounds, career types and professions, different types of business professionals. Here it is. She's sitting here. And her man is this Asian guy. And that could be a discussion for down the road. We see Issa Rae has the movie out, or just had the movie out, where her love interest was of a different ethnicity and whatnot. That's not one that's commonplace where I'm from. But like I said, that's a whole different discussion. Basically, I guess I'm getting at it. Are there larger discussions being had about the status of Black love at this particular time? But that's where I am with Low Key Losing It, episode 4 in season 4 of Insecure. I'd love to hear where you are with the show, what your thoughts on it are. Where you think things could go in the balance of the season. What your thoughts are on this rift between Issa and Molly. And is Molly, I don't know, man. Is she just being a little hard on Issa, or is Issa, just kind of this this disarray that her life seems to be in? Is it just a little off-putting for Molly at the moment, who's focused on some different things herself? So again, my name is Wood. Thanks for pressing play. Please hit that like button. I love to chop it up with you. Be safe. Take care. One.